Good evening, you creatures of the night. This isn't Matt talking, it's Peter. Surprise. I have a special treat for you, as it is over the river and through the woods to the grandmother's house we go. Brother and sister travel by the train into the land of the driven snow. For 5 days, 2 young grandchildren will meet their grandparents for the first time. A time to learn about their elders and the people who raised their mother. The link between the mother they knew and the mother that they used to be. Secrets linger within the walls of the house. The kids are treated to all the sweets they could want in warm hospitality. The only rule is to be in bed by 9:30. Don't leave your room after 9:30. But the children are curious, and what they find is anything but inviting. This is It Records. Yeah, Matt, you wrote it, so
yeah, woo!
It sucked.
That was great, Pete. That was such a great opening.
I wanted to shock you as I was like, I want to take the helm at the opening since you've always done it. We never questioned it before. I wanted to see if
that's true.
If I could switch it up a bit. And I messed up like 5 times.
No, you were great. And it was tough for me to give up the reins. I'm still a little heated about it, but we need some variety in the show from time to time. So yeah, you did good, Pete.
I tried doing my dramatic voice, and then I just went to my normal voice for like a sentence, and I was like, "Oh no, wait! I'm doing a dramatic voice right now." Oh yeah, I'm also joined by my co-hosts Matt Johnson and Lindsay Clark. Didn't give the endearing intro as you always do, Matt, but
I was honest.
Because
yeah.
I just don't like you guys. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, not one for introduction.
He does, and
well, at least it's the
do.
opposite of me. I usually give you a warm welcome about your qualities. You just ignore us.
Yeah, you got to give a variety for the viewer.
Sure.
Listener, I don't know. They view the listening. I don't know.
Yeah. Trust me, you'll never get it right. I still say viewer every time.
It's a trap in the beginning.
Yeah.
It's a trap. I was expecting you to follow it up with your Admiral Akbar impression, but I guess you weren't keen on it.
It wasn't. It went right over my head.
Well, anyways, we did the movie The Visit, M. Night Shyamalan, as a controversial choice for some, I would say.
Every day it's getting close.
Are you holding my camera properly? Swerve, girl.
Stop, both of you! Yours will surely come.
Hi, Mom. My parents asked if their grandchildren could visit them for a week.
Here we are. This is where our mom grew up. I've wanted to spend time with you for so long.
Miss you guys.
Mom, we're having a great time.
I have not seen your Nana this happy in years. Bedtime here is 9:30. It's probably best you two shouldn't come out of your room after that. See you in the morning.
9:30?
9:30.
What is that? It's 10:47.
We think there's someone outside the door. What the hell was that? I think Nana's not feeling well.
Grandmother's fine. It's like somebody talking in their sleep.
What's he doing? They're weird during the day.
I was just cleaning it.
And even weirder at night?
Mom, there's something wrong with Nana and Papa.
They're just old. Bear with it for a couple of days.
Nana, you okay?
They're hiding something.
It's just the end of your trip.
I'm sad it's all over. I'm gonna get you.
Let Let's make it a perfect night.
What is that?
Mom, you need to come right now.
Would you mind getting inside the oven to clean it?
Stop! Nana, stop!
Just a lot of mixed feelings about him. I would say that's accurate to say, right?
About Shyamalan
Yeah.
himself?
Yeah, well, it's
I'd
like
say
his,
so.
his, like, not like him as a person, but his movies that he creates. He
Sure,
seems,
let's not go after his character.
yeah, he seems like a nice guy. He's just a guy who directs movies and writes them.
No, I think that's fair to say that people have been fairly critical of him recently, ever since, like, I would say even The Village.
Yeah.
Like, it's been like a wishy-washy thing with when he comes out with movies, where he was like supreme for a while, like with Signs and Sixth Sense, and then like The Village and The Happening came out around the same time, and I feel like people have been really critical of him since.
I was still behind him with The Village. I haven't seen it since I was like 17, though, so.
Sure, and
I
I mean, I'm not knocking The Village. I'm just saying I think there's a bell curve maybe we're seeing, and that was the apex, was The Village, and like after that was kind of like everybody started being really critical.
And now that bell curve is like starting to go its way up, because I thought I saw this movie in theaters for the first time back when it came out, and I was like,
2015.
yeah, and I was like, you know what, this is a nice
Split.
turnaround for M. Night Shyamalan right
Split
now.
was good.
And then he came out with Split.
Well, you gotta see it.
I really
and then we
enjoyed
can
Split.
talk about it.
I didn't see it.
Okay, well, I'm out of ideas.
Well, yeah.
I refuse. I refuse to watch.
Well, let's just say if you enjoyed this one or you thought this was an upward swing of the bell curve, I think you'll enjoy Split just as much.
Yeah, I'm sure I will too.
That was a really good one.
Wow.
So how do you guys want to start off talking about this movie?
Got some thoughts.
I would say it like it's a pretty standard structure. Just like this, themes of just like kind of talking about the movie itself. Like there's not like it's found footage, which is I was kind of surprised by that. He went with that since it was so played out even at that point.
Yeah, that's definitely a first for him.
And I think what made it nice is that it was, I think the quality of the camera, like, they didn't make it look shitty, they made it look better, which I think, like, made it not as nauseating.
Yeah.
So, like...
For a found footage film?
Yeah.
Like, different from, like, Paranormal Activity, where it seems like it's a handheld home video type,
even
average
if
amateur.
Yeah. Even though there's, like, a handheld for this one, I feel like they just did, like, you know what, let's just use a nicer camera. Just because.
Yeah. Well, I think a good way to cover that up and made it, I think, somewhat believable is, for those who haven't seen the movie, the plot is that these two kids are going to see their grandparents for the first time, a brother and sister, and the sister, the daughter, is like she wants to be a filmmaker.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess, and she wants to document the experience of meeting her parents and sort of why her mother left her grandparents so many years ago. That she doesn't really know the reason. So I think that kind of makes up for it. Like, just the nice camera, and like it's not as shaky, or it seems like it's an actual film, is because she wants to be a filmmaker and she might know some things.
She's like kind of like staging her shots, so it like makes sense why.
Yeah.
Oh, this is why it's almost more professional looking.
And I kind of bought it. I bought that.
Yeah, I think it was like they didn't really hit it over the head too much, and it was just like just kind of like a nice fine line of this like, let's just not make this really shitty.
Well, speaking.
where wait, no, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying you were speaking of the filming of it. How did you guys feel of, I guess, the tone of the film is how I'll phrase it, but it's supposed to be found footage, right?
Yeah.
So it's like from the point of view of the siblings who have the camera, but it kind of takes you out of it briefly with like there's these title credits that are like Thursday, Friday. It's like in this blood red ink.
Yeah.
I mean, how did you feel about the tone? Because I kept getting, and I saw this in the reviews, some sort of like a mix between comedy and like thriller, and it takes you from the found footage into like an actual movie. Did it sit well with you, or how did you take the movie?
It didn't bother me because I just like kind of liked the break, even though it was like so quick. It kind of just made the found footage more tolerable, that we weren't, he was like we were saying, like it was more professional because they had an excuse of like using a nicer camera, and then the fact that there was like just like quick second breaks, I think it was like kind of like, I guess, refreshing on the eyes.
The like the title credits.
Yeah, it just gave the break that we needed.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I also didn't like find it bothersome by any means. I kind of, in a weird way, found it like, because it is supposed to be found footage, I found it to be a little bit more like true to life, if that even makes any sense. But yeah, and it just like the characters themselves too. I was really taken with what was his name, Tyler, the 13-year-old. I thought he was like kind of funny. And it's just his character, I felt like in certain aspects was a culmination of stereotypes for teenagers these days, and I thought the actor carried that off pretty well. But yeah, anyway, back to I think it was criticized for its tone kind of being all over the place, but I think it was a nice blend of different elements like comedy and horror, thriller.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I know it's supposed to be found footage, but I kind of like those title cards. At least the way it looked, it was that blood red ink against like the snowy background of the isolated grandparents' house. It made it feel like a horror movie to me, like that sort of imagery. But you mentioned Tyler, I believe his name is, right? Let's talk about Tyler. Let's talk about the characters, I guess. You liked Tyler. What did you guys think of the rapping? The rapping of his.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
How could you forget? There's the whole end credits.
How could you forget about that?
I mean, he lives, but he raps through the end credits.
I don't know. I just I watched it this was one of the ones that we had a long break between recordings, and I kind of forgot about that part. I guess I'll take the helm here, even though I forgot about it. I mean, I would probably say cringeworthy. It's yeah, it's like the best and worst way possible. Where I feel like a lot of horror films just are really good at doing that. I think people look fondly back on movies they saw during their childhood, and there's when you rewatch them in your adult life, you're like, oh, that's so cringeworthy, but you still love it anyways. I feel like that's that kind of moment.
And if I may, what I got when I was first listening to him, because he did it multiple times throughout the film, I was starting to be like what is the relevance of it to the plot? But it's just building on his character, and it reminded me a lot of Randy in Scream. That type of character where it's just that lovable goofball that you kind of root for. It just shows his character and what his tendencies are. So I grew to like him because of that. It provided some depth to him.
I would say it was a stereotype that's really old because like you know it didn't come out like that kind of stereotype of like a white kid like rapping in movies didn't really come out until like the 2000s. But like to have it in a 2015 movie seems like really like what is it doing here? Well, you could see when the craze came out.
True.
Like you could like maybe excuse it, but like you're like, what's it doing in this movie?
And speaking of rapping, did you guys pick up on the people were quoting Shakespeare throughout this movie? The same Shakespeare
I don't
quote?
think I caught that.
No,
I didn't catch that.
Okay, I caught it, and like I was like, all right, this is gonna come back in. This is gonna come back into the twist or something. No, and maybe I missed it, but apparently the train conductor, the ticket taker, when she puts the camera on him, like starts to quote Othello, and then one of the guys looking for the parents comes to the house later and says the exact same line when she puts the camera on them. And I was like, what is the connection here? Like, is there something with this town? Apparently, I couldn't pull anything from it, but
I see.
Maybe I'll take a second viewing and try to piece that together.
Wasn't M. Night Shyamalan's background though like kind of like
theater?
Yeah,
probably.
Isn't that?
He's a writer and director. I'm sure he has some background in that.
Knows some stuff. Interesting. I just thought they kept running into wannabe actors. So Tyler's a rap star. Becca, his older sister, she's a film prodigy. You know, for someone so young, I was pretty impressed with like all the knowledge.
Oh
that
yeah,
she was dropping,
she did have a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
She knew. I think she knew exactly what kind of story she wanted to tell, but wasn't counting on some other events.
The Shyamalan twist. Wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I don't think she saw that coming.
No, that's true. I think, as you said, she was maybe smarter than what you would perceive or whatever. But even her brother, they seem very perceptive, I feel like, of each other, especially when they had the camera on each other and like they were like really. The one scene where he starts to question her about like why don't you look in the mirror and everything. Like, it's like it's like a 10-year-old kid maybe like
that was painful.
telling your sister that. It's pretty deep. I don't think I would have told my sister that at 10, or even like recognized what that was at 10. Like if I saw my sister not looking in the mirror.
Oh no.
No, at 10 I would definitely not have realized that.
No. Let's watch Power Rangers.
I would have been like, or like, where's my Game Boy?
Yeah, I mean it becomes more and more clear, you know, how much pain they have from, you know, their father leaving, and I think that's, you know, they wanted to give their mother a little bit of a getaway, but, you know, they wanted to meet her parents because they were looking for that family tie that they haven't had. So
isn't there like a staple in like horror films that children are more like aware of like supernatural things that are going on? Isn't that kind of like a trope?
Yeah, I mean that kind of is.
It seems to
usually
be more often than not.
Yeah, they're just associated with supernatural. Either they're perceptive of it, or like they're a part of it for some reason.
Yeah.
So either like they sense it, like she did, or like The Omen or The Exorcist, like they're susceptible to it.
Poltergeist.
Yeah. Maybe their innocence.
And I was like trying to maybe like he was kind of playing off of that maybe, or just like probably even real life circumstances. You could like children that just like have really shitty lives, like may not completely understand what's going on, but they're just like, this is not a good one. Like they know, they're not that dumb. But is there specific moments in the movie that you want to point out that because I feel like we're just kind of talking about a lot of feelings from the movie instead of like the movie in general, because I think the movie in general I think was like a pretty solid movie, so I already given away how I feel about it, but it's kind of just like it's kind of like back to his roots. I feel like we're just like, here's a story. It's very cultivated in a small way, and it takes you there. And then there's like a twist that I thought worked and surprised me. I didn't expect it. Maybe that's just me, but I wasn't like pissed off about it because I know that's another like critique of like M. Night Shyamalan is like, oh, that twist was stupid. And you know, sometimes I'll give you that. You know, like the Happening twist. You know, that's a pretty bad one.
I agree. That twist definitely impressed me. I didn't see that coming, and I thought it was well done. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it was because you know it's coming, like you said, it's Shyamalan, but it was really subtle to me. Like, it wasn't like the plants are killing you or in the village. That one seemed like a little bit of a stretch, but this one didn't seem like you wouldn't believe it at all, and it just seemed to work with the story, and I was surprised by it, like a gasp almost, like oh shit, because I was trying to figure it out what the twist is gonna be, and that wasn't on the list of what.
Yeah, because like I was thinking like, oh, it has to be something crazy, and the fact that it was like a little more grounded, even though it was still unbelievable. It was just like, it was like, you know, in a horror film that like that's more believable. For that,
in a horror film, yeah, exactly, because, I mean, we don't want to get too technical with the framework of a movie, but it's implausible this movie would happen in real life. If these miners are riding on an Amtrak train by themselves, they have to have someone sign off for them with photo identification when they get off the train. That's just the law. And we know this movie wouldn't exist in real life. So, yeah. But it's a horror movie. So we believe it.
Or just a movie, you know, a lot of movies ignore reality so they could just tell the story. But you got to do it well. You know, that's where the catch-22 is. You can't just say whatever the fuck you want. Mm-hmm. You got any good trivia for this movie, Matt?
I have some. I mean, really what I found interesting is kind of what we've been talking about overarching is like, this is sort of a Shyamalan return to form, we think, from what he used to do, what people liked. And I think he made a concerted effort, just based on what I read about it, is he wrote, directed, and produced this, but he produced it all himself originally from the money he got from After Earth, which I didn't know he was tagged on that.
He directed it.
I knew he did, okay.
Yeah.
So he took the money he got from that so he could have the final cut on this movie. He'd have all the artistic rights, because that's what started to happen with like The Village and everything, is these big companies produced his movies and they had the final decision on how it ended. So that could have been a reason for why his movies started to teeter. So he decided to fully produce this one, wanted all the artistic rights, and it wasn't until later that Blumhouse got in on it. He did that all by himself, and then he didn't have his... this is the first movie he didn't do a cameo in. It's the first movie he didn't have his sound guy with him. So I think he made a real concerted effort to like get back to his form after many flops. So that was interesting to me.
I think it's really like After Earth is really what really got him. Like, even like what was before that?
Was he directed Last Airbender?
Oh god, yeah, he really did have a lot of bad ones. I guess like his last horror film was like what, Lady in the Water. No, was it The Happening?
Was after Lady in the Water, I believe.
Yeah, but Lady in the Water, I feel like was really like, oh man, you're making some weird fucking movies and they're not good.
That's Paul Giamatti, right? Is that Paul Giamatti in that?
Didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure Paul Giamatti is in that movie.
That was 2006. The past is the past.
Yeah.
We'll yeah.
Yeah. He's looking forward.
Yeah, I think he just needs to stick with Blumhouse for a while. It seems like it's doing him, since he's had two like, you know, like smaller budget horror films that have done like at least moderately well.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
keep it going.
Well, I think well, Split did, I think, much better than this one, but for this one, it was $5 million budget that he used, and he got like $100 million in the box office. I'm sure Split did better than that. Probably had more budget, though, because you have a James McAvoy in it.
Yeah, like had a big star. I'm actually gonna look into Split. I almost saw it in theaters, and then I just last minute decided not to.
Go on.
So the budget.
Go on.
What? No. The budget for Split was $9 million.
Not that much difference.
All right.
And it made
That's
$272 million. So pretty successful.
Yeah. So he's doing good.
I read that his original title for the movie was Sundowning, which is pretty interesting because that's what, not to give too much away, but that's what they claimed that Nana suffered from. I think they defined it as some sort of dementia, but I thought that would have been interesting if he had stuck with that.
Yeah. Because should we give the twist away at some point? Because we've done spoilers in other shows, but this is an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Should we just stray as far away from it?
I would say we hold off on this one, since like kind of like a lot of his allure to M. Night Shyamalan is this like to figure out what the twist is, and I don't want to like completely ruin that for people.
Fine, we won't ruin the movie for them. No, that's fine.
But I mean, we talked a lot about the movie, like so far, like
I was
the
just going to go
mechanics
into a
of
little
it.
bit more of like Lindsay talked about. Sundowning was the original title that they had working for a while, and that comes into play in the movie with why they can't leave their rooms after 9:30 is because they don't really know, but they go out and their grandma's kind of doing some weird things in the living room, and they chalk it up to sundowning, which is some sort of dementia where when the sun goes down, it messes with her brain, which is just some sort of illness. That's the reasoning for it, and that's what they're kind of creeped out by. Won't go any further than that.
I mean, it is very terrifying. I think I wonder if it's like, it seems like it's associated with like an old-timey illness. I don't know. I just kind of got that vibe from it. Like, oh, it's, I don't even know. I was trying to think of like an old disease, and I couldn't think of one.
Scurvy.
Yeah, I mean, if that was happening like in the room right next to you, that would be pretty terrifying. Like,
yeah. So. With no real like mention of it before you saw it, like no warning. Jesus.
And there was like, whenever she went investigating with like the camera, I was so scared. To like when they venture out of the room, and then like they think like the grandma like sees them, and I was like, oh my god, this is so scary. What are you doing?
Yeah, and they were like aware of what they were doing, because she called it forced tension. Like she briefly mentions that at the beginning, of like you want them to feel something that's off the camera before she knew all this shit was going to go down. But that's exactly what she does when she leaves her room after 9:30, is create that forced tension of really slowly moving the camera around the room, and really you wondering what the hell's off the screen. I do kind of want to touch on this, but I don't want to ruin the twist. The people in the lake, the white people that they talk about.
Okay.
Are we to assume that's fabrication? That's not real? After what we learned? Or...
I would say, yeah. Probably not coming from a reliable source, so it's just like, take it with a grain of salt. Like, it does, make you question it. Like, maybe they did see something that was like, I feel like it also kind of like implies like, I mean, not even like really imply, like I feel like they kind of even touched upon a little bit like aliens, like where like it kind of seems like the grandfather's like kind of like into that, you know, I guess like the whole mythology behind it. And it kind of makes sense with like the movie title. You're like, oh, visit, you know, that could mean aliens.
Right.
Which wouldn't be out of line for M. Night Shyamalan.
Yes and no, I feel like, because like he's done some crazy stuff, but I don't think he's ever done an alien twist. Like alien, like After Earth is like that's not the twist. Is that they're aliens? Because like that's already established that there's aliens in that movie. I never saw it, but like right away they're established. And
same with Signs. It's not the aliens that's the twist, but they're established. I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, I got a Signs vibe in this movie. Did you guys know what scene I'm talking about? It's towards the end. Yeah.
Go on.
When Tyler, the boy, he runs and tackles someone, and he takes him down. And he's like, "Wrap up, head down," or whatever, and he tackles him again. It totally reminded me of Signs, where swing away. It's like it's just a different sport. It's just because that was brought up earlier in the movie. People haven't seen it. The whole thing about I couldn't make the tackle, and I think that's why Dad left or whatever. But that was his psychological thing. Is like, and she's like, "No, you really think he left because you didn't make the tackle?" So his hang up was like he didn't make the tackle. Dad left, and during the climax of the movie, he's like, "Form up, make the tackle." I was like, "This is Signs. This is the exact same thing from Signs, but swing."
Man, that's quite a comparison. I did not make that connection, but I could see it. You know, I didn't even watch Signs. You know, that's just a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in like 10 years.
Yeah,
very interesting.
Is there a scene that you guys want to play in particular, or do you just kind of want to maybe just like hold off on it since we don't want to go too much into detail with the plot because of the twist?
I don't know. I feel like a lot of the scenes I would show that really jumped out at me were they're more visual than audio. Like a lot of the time where they set the camera out.
Yeah.
I thought that was really those scenes.
Yeah,
are really
there's
good,
a lot of visuals,
but I don't think it would be received well on the audio side. Yeah.
In a podcast sense. Yeah. That's unfortunately, true. We're talking about a visual medium and an audio medium.
I was gonna say, I don't know if the interviews that she has with either one of them would serve any purpose or not.
I guess we could kind of just like jump into like, I know as far as we know, there's no sequels.
No, not that I've
but I wouldn't mind like a similar, not like universe, but like a similar type of movie. Like maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, taking like not found footage, but like maybe just make like a regular movie about I guess like more stuff with like kids and like dealing with like a certain like stress from like their past. I think, you know, if you get some, you know, really good actors, you could really make a good movie out of it.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'll be blunt. I'm not really a fan of the found footage films in general. So I think I did like the premise and the feel of this, but I think if it was not the found footage, but just like they were filming it and you don't know the camera's there, I might prefer it more. And I think you could do a little more. You could do a little more with it because you have to have someone holding the camera in this movie. Yeah, and it limits you a little bit.
I think he probably did it for cost reasons. I think it probably is a lot cheaper.
Oh, I'm sure.
To do a found footage than you know, any other type of movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I still think it would have done pretty well if it had been otherwise. But yeah, I thought again, like Matt, I'm not really too into found footage, but this wasn't bad. I liked it. I thought it was something different from this director for sure.
Yeah, I was
so
pleasantly surprised, I guess. Like I was on the bandwagon of lack of a better word, Shyamalan sucks. after those few movies like The Happening and Last Airbender, which he killed The Last Airbender for me because I watched that show growing up. I don't know if you guys did.
Well, I mean, I love that show, but were we really growing up when it was on, considering our age? We're like the same age, and we were both like late high school when that show came out.
No way. Last Airbender? I was not like 18 when that show came out. I wasn't like 10, but I was not 18 watching Last Airbender.
I mean, I was watching it at 18.
Well, I probably still would, but I don't think I was originally
I think it came out. Okay, it
18.
came out like in 2006. I think was the first season. So we're like, yeah, so we're 14. That's still pretty old for like a kid's cartoon.
So we were like 14.
Okay.
Granted, I was
up.
still watching SpongeBob at the time. It's never mind. But it ended when we were 18 for sure.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nonetheless. I'm not sure when it ended, yeah. But the Shyamalan sucks train. I was on it. And
I was on it too. I was on board.
I was on it, and then this is the first time I saw this movie. I went and saw Split before this, and I liked Split a lot. I was like, oh, this is his comeback. I thought this is really good. This came out 15, so 2 years before Split. And I don't think it's to the caliber of Split, but I do think it's a good movie. I do think it's definitely...
It's like training ground for him.
Yeah, I do think it holds up, and I enjoyed it. Like, I was waiting for the moment to come. Maybe it was the twist where I was like, oh, here it is again. But it never happened, and I did enjoy the visit a lot.
Kind of...
Yeah.
Honestly,
I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't really know what I was doing when I picked this movie. I was kind of at a loss. I didn't really know what to do, and one of my friends was like, I really like that movie. And I was like, found it. And so,
good pick.
Here we are.
Because I probably would... Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I didn't know what to expect.
Because I feel like I would have fell into the trap, like I was saying, that I would never see another Shyamalan movie again because I was off of him. But yeah, I'm glad I did. It's good.
I have no idea.
What were you going to say, Peter?
I don't think it was like really important. I think it was just like kind of like a sidebar.
Okay.
Yeah. quick sidebar. Are you authorized to give raises? Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah. So I think it's safe to say though that we all defend the visit.
Yeah, it sounds like we all kind of equally defend it.
Mm-hmm. Wholeheartedly.
And then, like, I feel like there's not too many faults against it, even though it's just like, it's just like, we weren't crazy about the found footage, but he found ways around it, and the kids being cringeworthy. You could also just chalk it up to like, well, the kids were fine actors. It's just kind of just like kids being kind of kids kind of thing.
I definitely agree with that. And I'm not going to knock a movie for, like, being found footage. I just don't prefer them. Like, if it's a good movie, it's a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, shout out, Catherine Hahn is in this movie. That's how you pronounce her last name? She's, like, in Step Brother. She's, like, this comedian. She's the mom in this movie. Pleasantly surprised to see her in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm a big fan of hers.
I didn't recognize her until like you put the pieces together for me.
She's an Anchorman. She's in the Parks and Rec. She's in a lot of comedy movies. She plays like
Is she
the
in Parks and
publicist
Rec?
for Paul. What's Paul Rudd? Newport. What's his name? Paul Rudd's character, he's running for mayor or whatever against Leslie. She's like his publicist, and then she works for Leslie for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, she's very
yeah.
This is her first horror movie,
forgot
as well
about
as the
that.
kids. She was on Crossing Jordan, if you remember that show.
Did not watch that at all.
No, I didn't either.
Me
I just know she was on. Yeah, that one.
Now
I
that's
remember
a
being
show
little
that
young for
was
that.
on when we were kids. I'm like pretty
Like 16
sure.
or 17.
I have like
Okay.
no memory of that show at all. Was this a small town channel?
It was on one of the.
No,
it was
it was
one
like
of the
I
major
don't
three
even-
channels. I feel like.
It
'Cause I
wasn't
think I was
Lifetime,
watching-
was it?
Like
No.
growing up, I feel like I was watching football with my
Really?
dad, and it was on like CBS, NBC, or Fox, and they show like a promo for it. That's how I got into Arrested Development when I was younger. They'd always promo it on Fox when the Bears were on Fox. So
Ooh, now there's a show.
Yeah, I did not watch Arrested Development at all live. I watched it because of Netflix.
Okay.
But I guess we could start wrapping things up before we get into like
let's talk.
what other
Netflix. What are you
Netflix
guys
shows
watching?
we're watching.
What's new in theaters?
What are you guys watching on Amazon? What are you
What are
guys
you
watching
watching
on
on CISO?
Hulu? You know, give me the scoop.
Wait, do you guys know what CISO is?
Nothing.
I'm not. Different
I've heard of it.
podcast.
I've heard of it.
Let's talk about
I feel like I always hear it on like
No?
yeah, I always hear it on like
CISO.
I hear it on other podcasts like commercials.
It's probably it's just basically
Yeah. Right?
It's not a channel, but like it's like a Hulu. It's just for comedy shows. Like Parks and Rec reruns are there. They have some like stand-ups on there. It's just a comedy channel.
Oh yeah, I've definitely heard that because of like
Sure.
How Did This Get
Yeah,
Made?
they're probably
I feel
talking
like
about it.
would have that
Or
commercial because
Harmontown.
it's a comedy
Harmon Quest
podcast.
is on CISO.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've heard of that.
That sounds cool.
Sling TV. You got your Sling TV. Danny Trejo is the spokesperson, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other than
Yeah,
that,
just in case
we
anybody
can-
was wondering
we
about
can
the
call it- we
Crossing
can call it a
Jordan
day.
reference, it was on NBC. I just
TV,
cross-referenced it. it's
Oh.
I just asked my
okay.
interns to
Wikipedia
get it,
is-
and
And I said it was
They ran it down for
Lifetime?
me.
Really? Wow.
yeah, Lucy got it for me.
Your cat.
Yeah, she's great. She brought it over in her little paws and handed me a Post-it note.
That was
Yeah.
that
She
was nice of her.
scratching the door. You wanna do the closing notes, Matt?
No, I'm gonna pass the torch to you, Pete. You take the intro, close it out. Do the close.
I mean, I got nothing. You know,
You got nothing.
I just end it on a whimper. I want you to take the helm
Fine,
again. You
fine.
know, show me how it's done.
Well, this is the end of the episode, and as always, we say keep up with us on Facebook. We're gonna have new episodes out there. Get to us on Twitter, or Facebook, or our website. We can communicate with you there. We want to know what you're thinking, what you want to listen to. Check out our new logo, timestamped this episode. We got a new logo out there, in case you want to see it. Let us know your thoughts on it. I'd say it's pretty good. I'd like to think so.
Professionally done.
Lucy did that one too.
So none of us did it
Yeah.
because we have a very talented cat on staff. she's on the payroll, as they say in the industry.